There is a certain type of person who looks calm from the outside. They sit on the couch after a long day. They finish their work. They finally clear their inbox. Maybe they even take a vacation. But something strange happens. The moment life becomes quiet, their mind becomes loud. Instead of feeling relief, they feel tension. Instead of enjoying the moment, they start searching for the next thing they should be doing. The next problem they should solve. The next responsibility they should prepare for. Most people assume this is ambition, discipline, a strong work ethic. But psychology suggests something much deeper. Because for many people, the inability to relax has very little to do with productivity, and almost everything to do with survival. Some people don't struggle because they have too much work. They struggle because their nervous system has forgotten how to feel safe. Even when there is no danger. Even when there is no emergency. Even when there is absolutely nothing wrong. A part of their mind remains standing guard. Watching. Waiting. Preparing. And over time, this constant vigilance becomes so normal that they stop noticing it. They simply call it responsibility. Today, we're going to explore the psychology of people who can never relax. Why some minds are constantly searching for problems. Why rest often feels uncomfortable. And how a survival strategy that once protected you can slowly become a prison. To understand why some people struggle to relax, we first need to understand where this pattern comes from. Most people think relaxation is natural. But psychologically speaking, relaxation is something your nervous system must believe is safe. And for some people, it never learned that lesson. For some, the roots go back to childhood. They grew up in environments that felt unpredictable. Maybe there was constant tension in the house. Maybe there were financial problems. Maybe love felt conditional. Maybe mistakes were punished harshly. Whatever the cause, their brain learned an important rule very early. Stay alert. Because if you stop paying attention, something bad might happen. Over time, this hyper-alertness becomes automatic. The nervous system starts treating preparedness as safety. And eventually, rest itself begins to feel uncomfortable. Not because relaxation is dangerous, but because unfamiliarity feels dangerous. For others, the pattern develops later, through perfectionism, achievement, constant pressure, a culture that rewards productivity and treats rest like a luxury. They slowly begin connecting their worth to their output. The more they accomplish, the more valuable they feel. The less they accomplish, the more guilt they experience. And this creates a dangerous equation. If productivity equals worth, then rest starts to feel like failure. Which brings us to the first sign. Sign number 1. They feel guilty when resting. This is one of the most common signs, and one of the most misunderstood. Imagine it's Sunday afternoon. Nothing is urgent. Nothing needs your attention. You've already finished everything important. But instead of enjoying the free time, you feel a strange discomfort. A voice appears in the background. Shouldn't you be doing something? Learning something? Improving something? Getting ahead somehow? Psychologists sometimes refer to this as productivity guilt. The feeling that rest must be justified before it can be enjoyed. The problem is that rest stops being rest. It becomes another performance. Another task. Another thing that must be earned. And no matter how much you accomplish, it never feels like enough. Because the real problem isn't your schedule. It's the belief that your value depends on constant motion. And that belief quietly creates sign number 2. They are always scanning for problems, even when everything is fine. Their brain keeps searching. A vacation becomes an opportunity to worry about work. A successful month becomes an opportunity to worry about the next one. A peaceful relationship becomes an opportunity to imagine how it might fall apart. Psychology has a name for part of this tendency. Negativity bias. The brain naturally pays more attention to threats than opportunities. This made sense thousands of years ago. Missing a predator was expensive. Missing a beautiful sunset was not. But in modern life, this ancient survival system often becomes overactive. The result is a person who constantly feels responsible for preventing future disasters. Even disasters that may never happen. Their mind rarely asks, "What is going well?" Instead, it asks, "What am I missing? What could go wrong? What should I prepare for next?" And because the brain is extremely good at finding what it searches for, it always finds another reason to stay alert. Which eventually creates sign number 3. They turn relaxation into another task. This one is surprisingly common. People who struggle to relax often become experts at optimizing relaxation. They research the perfect morning routine, the perfect sleep routine, the perfect meditation technique, the perfect work-life balance strategy, and before long, relaxation becomes another project, another performance metric, another thing to improve. The irony is almost painful. The very activity designed to reduce stress becomes another source of stress. Instead of resting, they're managing rest. Instead of experiencing peace, they're evaluating it. Am I doing this correctly? Am I relaxed enough? Am I recovering efficiently? And once relaxation becomes another goal to achieve, genuine relaxation disappears. Because goals require effort, peace does not. This leads directly into sign number 4. They struggle to enjoy the present moment. Their body may be here, but their attention rarely is. They're constantly living one step ahead of themselves, thinking about tomorrow, planning next week, preparing for next month, chasing the next milestone, the next achievement, the next version of life. Many people spend years believing happiness exists somewhere in the future, just beyond the next promotion, the next financial goal, the next accomplishment, the next breakthrough. But the finish line keeps moving. And eventually, they discover something strange. They've become very good at pursuing life, but not very good at experiencing it. Neuroscience offers one explanation. The brain releases dopamine not only when rewards arrive, but while anticipating rewards, which means some people become addicted to pursuit itself. Always chasing, always preparing, always moving, yet rarely arriving. And this creates perhaps the most important sign of all. Sign number 5. They confuse peace with laziness. Deep down, many people carry an invisible belief. If I'm not moving, I'm falling behind. If I'm not improving, I'm failing. If I'm not productive, I'm wasting my life. This belief can create extraordinary achievement, but it also creates extraordinary exhaustion. Because no human being can operate in growth mode forever. The nervous system requires cycles: effort and recovery, movement and stillness, challenge and rest. Yet people who can never relax often treat recovery as weakness. They feel uncomfortable doing nothing, uncomfortable slowing down, uncomfortable simply existing, as if their value disappears the moment they stop producing. And this is where the hidden cost begins to emerge. Because living this way looks productive from the outside, but internally it creates chronic tension. The nervous system never fully powers down. Stress accumulates. Anxiety increases. Sleep quality suffers. Relationships become harder to enjoy. Even success starts feeling strangely empty, because the goal was never really achievement. The goal was finally feeling safe. And no amount of achievement can solve a problem that belongs to the nervous system. This is why so many high-performing people eventually reach a breaking point. Not because they're weak, but because they've been running psychological emergency software for years, trying to outrun discomfort, trying to earn rest, trying to achieve a level of security that finally allows them to relax. But the finish line never arrives, because safety is not something that appears after enough productivity. It's something the nervous system learns to experience in the present. So what can people like this actually do? The answer is not becoming less ambitious. It's not giving up goals. And it's definitely not forcing yourself to stop caring. The real solution is learning that rest and worth are not connected. You do not need to earn your right to exist. You do not need to justify every moment of stillness. And you do not need to solve tomorrow's problems before they arrive. People who successfully escape this cycle usually learn 3 important lessons. First, not every moment needs to be productive. Second, rest is not a reward. It is a biological requirement. And third, peace is a skill. Just like focus. Just like discipline. Just like confidence. It becomes stronger the more you practice it. Slowly, the nervous system begins learning something it forgot a long time ago. The emergency is over. You don't have to keep standing guard. You don't have to keep proving your worth. And you don't have to spend your entire life preparing for a future that never arrives. The people who can never relax are often the same people who have spent years carrying responsibilities, years anticipating problems, years trying to protect themselves from uncertainty. And that ability may have helped them survive. But survival and living are not the same thing. At some point, the mind must learn a lesson that productivity can never teach. The world will never become completely predictable. Your work will never be completely finished. And there will always be another problem waiting somewhere in the future. The goal is not to eliminate uncertainty. The goal is to stop sacrificing the present moment to it. Because a life spent preparing to live is not the same as a life that is actually lived. And sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is finally allow themselves to rest.